is actually an orbiting laboratory from which we learn from almost every single thing that goes on board. As we travel over 250 miles above the Earth's surface, we are conducting experiments that can only be done in reduced gravity. We learn every day how to live in the closed environment of space, as well as work on projects that have immediate and future applications on Earth. What you're seeing right now is just one section of the entire International Space Station. The full size is actually the length and width of an American football field. Brave men and women have been doing this important work in space for over 20 years. That's right. People have been living and working in space for over 2 decades. That's longer than many of you have even been alive. Sounds pretty crazy, right? Sounds a little bit like science fiction, but it's not. This is real. Earlier today, I was working on some cellular experimentation over the medical lab. On Earth, cells and bacteria cannot grow very large or live very long, because eventually, gravity will cause them to be crushed by their own weight. But take gravity away and see what happens. Without gravity, cells grow larger, live longer, and grow in 3 dimensions. This is a huge medical breakthrough. Because of this, our scientists are able to better study life on a cellular level. Experiments done in microgravity help us back on Earth by helping to cure diseases, better understanding genetics, and even improving organ transplantation.
Yeah.
Before that, I was working on a new alloy. An alloy is a blend of 2 metals. This alloy, however, can only be made in space. Mixing large amounts of lead and tin on Earth is nearly impossible because lead is so much heavier than the tin. When you put them together, the lead will sink to the bottom and the tin will rise to the top. They do not mix, kind of like oil and water when they separate. Take away gravity and see how they mix easily to form a new alloy that can be used in all kinds of electronic parts, such as for your cell phone or even your laptop. It's very useful and can only be made in space. These are just some of the many important things that we're working on the International Space Station. However, it is time for the most important part of my day, lunch. So, what do you guys think we eat on the space station? Any guesses? Well, does anyone have a favorite food? Shout out your favorite foods. Pizza and steak. Alright, who else likes pizza or steak? Who likes ice cream?
Yeah.
There we go. A lot of people, right? Well, the answer is yes. The truth is, our astronauts and cosmonauts are offered an extensive menu full of tasty foods and beverages, including pizza, steak, ice cream, and whatever else it is you like. In order to increase the shelf life and make the food lighter, much of the food is dehydrated, meaning that all the water is taken out. So in order to make your favorite meals, all you have to do is add water. That's it. Even I can make that. You may also notice that there are no cups or plates anywhere. Why do you think that is? Why would we not need cups or plates? Shout it out if you know.
This cannot fit.
Because they float.
Yes.
Remember that we're living in microgravity, where everything is essentially weightless. So if I were to set a table full of cups and plates, they would all just float away. So instead, all of our food comes in these handy little pouches. This right here is chicken and rice. Does that look appetizing? Not really, right? That's because we haven't added water yet. These packages are extremely convenient because they all come with a strap of Velcro on the back. There's also Velcro all over the station. So if you're ever in a rush, you can just slap it against the wall. Just like this. Pretty convenient, right? Now that's efficient. So you've all been wonderful lunch buddies, but as usual after I eat, I'm gonna run to the restroom. So let's head over there. Using the restroom in space is very different than using the restroom back on Earth. On Earth, we depend on water and gravity to dispose of the waste. But we don't really have access to any of that on the space station. So instead, we use suction. Step number 1 to using the restroom in space is turn on the suction. Number 2 goes in here. You can't really see it from where you're sitting, but it's a very small hole, about the size of a golf ball. You're going to want to have really good aim and be on target. Later, the suction will pull the solid waste into a container and dispose of it later. Liquid waste, however, goes in here. What do you guys think we do with the liquid waste? Any guesses? Shout it out if you know.
Recycle.
Recycle it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now guys, remember, we live in the closed environment of space, and water is a very scarce commodity. So just throwing it out would be very wasteful. So instead, we recycle and purify any and all water. Meaning, liquid waste goes in there and ends up filtered in here. All recycled.
Recycle.
Yes, that is drinking water. I know, it sounds really gross, but hey, it works. This technology is helping us and astronauts further and further into space for future deep space missions, and is helping us on Earth right now by providing fresh water to arid and polluted regions that may not have access to clean water. This technology is saving lives, and it doesn't taste too bad either. Speaking of water, if I were to spill this water on Earth, it would just make a mess and get everywhere, right?
Yes.
Well, take gravity away and see what happens. Without gravity, surface tension becomes the dominant force acting on the blobs of water. These blobs of water will ooze around and bump into each other. And when they do bump into each other, they'll morph together to form one big blob. And if they happen to run into anything of any absorbency, like that towel over there, a wicking action will powerfully suck the water into the towel, kind of like a sponge. Since over 60% of our human bodies are made of water, those two are affected greatly by microgravity. So, let's check it out. This is a body scan I took of myself earlier. In microgravity, the fluids in your body will slowly start to move upwards, causing your face to become puffy and arms and legs to become a lot thinner. Our astronauts on the space station have a very, very scientific name for this, called chicken legs. Your spine will also grow up to 2 inches because there's no longer gravity weighing you down. Your heart will also shrink in size, and your muscle mass and bone density will decrease. But don't worry, once you return to Earth, your heart and most other side effects will return to normal. But this is why it is so incredibly important for our astronauts to remain in great physical health and great shape throughout the course of their mission. In order to stay healthy, our astronauts have to exercise for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a lot of exercise. Do you guys think you could do that? Yes or no? So I hear some yeses and I hear some no's. I don't think I could. But luckily for me, the show's not that long, so I'm not going to have to. Still, I do want to demonstrate the dual cycle ergometer, or space bike. It works very simply. All you have to do is sit down, grab onto the handles, and start pedaling. This is just one of the many exercise devices available for the astronauts to use. Another example is the ARED, the A-R-E-D, Advanced Resistant Exercise Device, which basically simulates lifting weights, but in microgravity. As you can see, our astronauts are kept very, very busy with their hectic schedules. So busy, in fact, that 3 new permanent residents have been added. Their names are Bumble, Honey, and Queen. They are the new Astro Bee robots. These new electronic members of the crew are shaped like cubes and are only 12.5 inches wide. They are designed to float around in microgravity and perform routine tasks. By taking on the more routine tasks, they're able to free up the astronauts' valuable time to do things that only a human can do. Each Astro Bee comes equipped with 6 cameras cameras, a touchscreen, and a perching arm, which allows them to hang on handrails or even assist an astronaut. The coolest thing about these robots is that they can work by themselves, be controlled by an astronaut, or even be remotely operated from the ground here at Mission Control. These robots are still relatively new to the program, having only been implemented in 2018, so 4 years ago. So their usefulness is still only beginning to be fully understood. However, it is believed that robots like these will be essential for future deep space missions and, potentially, even a lunar research center within the next 20 years. After a busy day of work, our astronauts are scheduled for about 8.5 hours of sleep. Keep in mind that the ISS is traveling at 28,000 kilometers per hour, which is the same as 17,500 miles per hour. To put that into some perspective, that's 5 miles per second. So really, really fast. Because of this, our astronauts will see a sunrise and a sunset every 90 minutes. But as cool as that sounds, 16 sunrises a day can make sleep a bit of time. So let's check out how they sleep. First, we need to address the lack of gravity. If I were to close my eyes and fall asleep on the ground, I'd be floating around the cabin, bumping into equipment or astronauts, or worse, the astro-bees. So instead, all of our astronauts are provided with their very own sleep restraint unit. All you have to do is stand right over here. There's an armhole on either side. You just zip it right on up like a sleeping bag. This last strap goes over your forehead to keep your head from bobbing up and down. Does that look comfortable?
Yeah.
No? Well, what about the top up? Is that better? No? I think I heard a yes. I'm so glad you think so. Most people don't think it looks too comfy though, does it? But guys, remember, in microgravity, there is no concept of up or down. So an astronaut can sleep along the ceiling right here, along this wall right here, and one right where I'm standing. And they would all feel the same. And it's a lot comfier than it looks. So I'm told. So clearly life on the space station is very different than the life we all know on Earth. But the astronauts who spend time in space get a view of the world unlike any other. A world without borders. A beautiful blue orb floating still in the infinite black ocean of space. Representatives from different cultures and countries are able to put their differences aside to work together towards one common goal. Upon returning to Earth, many station astronauts often comment on this new perspective, this greater appreciation of our precious planet. As you can see, everything that we're doing on the International Space Station is helping us learn. From the specific scientific experiments being done in microgravity, to the robotic advancements being made to efficiently collect data. Even the technological advancements being done to make space inhabitable by humans is priceless. What we learn here can be applied directly to difficult situations on Earth, as well as pushing us forward towards a lunar research center. And who knows, this knowledge may even help us put humans on Mars and beyond. Since starting the show around 20 minutes ago, the actual crew members aboard the real International Space Station have traveled 5,700 miles, which is roughly the distance from here to Barcelona, Spain. So they're a little too far to answer any of your questions, but that's why I'm here. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me at the bottom corner of the stage. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and I hope the rest of your day is out of this world. Bye guys, thank you.